hey, how do we develop, how does this help us, and how can we consciously use these tools?
Yes.
We would love to know how you use music and how it moves you. What ways are you already utilizing that? And in what ways can you consciously take that and make that a tool in your life? I developed more and more clearly what satisfied me, the more space I gave myself. If we're not taking like small steps towards that, and this is going to come up in a minute, then we're going to be miserable forever. We have to realize how much power we have in our own choices. Even if we can't completely change the external circumstance, we can choose where we focus. When the storm comes, where is your anchor? Let's kind of get into the flow of everything, how this all came together. So we told you a little bit about this. The Cancer full moon is a very like nurturing energy. Cancer is water sign. And the full moon is a time of like, wrong one. Full moon is a time of illumination in our lives. It just kind of like, if you're in tune with this and you're aligned and you're feeling it, you already feel that like excess energy of the full moon, right? Like we all kind of feel it. It's just it's a stereotype. The full moon, everyone feels wild or crazy, but you don't feel so crazy when you know what's going on, when you understand it and you tap into that and you're like actually allowing yourself to feel it. So I think it's really interesting that we're talking about letting our fears dissolve with the water. And what we did to like kind of cross that with the Capricorn energy, Capricorn is a diligent earth energy. It's like this persevering mountain, or a mountain goat, like where you are climbing. Your daily life is climbing. But if you're not intuitive, like consider that mountain goat. That's the representation of Capricorn. If you're not intuitive, you're going to fall off that mountain and it's not going to be very comfortable. The goat knows what it's doing. It's just like, that's its lifestyle. Do you know what I mean? I know it's like a silly metaphor, but like to think about that, we need to be tapped into what we know how to do. And then the climb is not such a painful one. So that's like nurturing ourselves along the way. We cannot just grind and hustle and push and never take time to tap in and decide what really satisfies us or what we want. So that's a baseline. What do you guys want to lean into?
I think you did such a good job putting that together. And yeah, with
away with words.
You do. What was I going to say? So yes, the Cancer full moon, that's water energy. We want to dissolve. And at the full moon, if you follow along with journaling, like moon journaling, you'll recognize that the full moon is a time for releasing. So, we want to dissolve and release those things that are maybe getting us caught up. So let's say you're that goat climbing and you start focusing too much on that rock that's ahead of you, and you are so focused on it that you're trying to come up with this plan for getting around it. And it really just messes you up if you just keep going with the way that feels right to you. Let that fear dissolve. Don't be afraid of that rock or whatever. Trust that you're going to get through it.
Or turning the rock over. Like, consider that. You know what I mean? Like, or going, like, what if the method, this is where I feel like sometimes we get stuck on like a method. Like, what is this person doing because it worked for them? It seems to have worked for them, right? We don't really know if that person's like really happy with the journey, but that's how I feel it. Like, I don't want to literally just do things that make me miserable every day. I can't get up and do that. That was hard for me to work in ways that, I'm not saying all my jobs ever were miserable. I'm not saying that at all, but I'm saying I developed different things and I realized more and more clearly what satisfied me, the more space I gave myself. So if we're not taking like small steps towards that, little bit at a time, and this is going to come up in a minute, then we're going to be miserable forever. We have to realize that how much power we have in our own choices. Even if we can't completely change the external circumstance, we can choose where we focus. When the storm comes, okay, so the water comes, where is your anchor? Okay, so this is part of it. What we're doing is showing you the cards. We actually, when we started with this, and then we had our next meeting, and we pulled more cards. Now Nikki and I each pulled cards separately, and then when we brought the messages together, it created something really cool for us both. So we want to explain how this all happened. This is what we're doing this time because we want you to understand your intuition. You getting your deck out right now and pulling a card, the clarity you receive from that is like real. Even if you don't see the circumstance changed yet, your choices to believe in something different, or that things can change and feel different in your life, is the magic. Okay.
And I feel like we should also like touch on the fact of that's part of the Cancer thing is feel yourself. Like maybe you're just going with the flow, but if you haven't checked in with yourself recently, make sure you're checking in. Don't just go with the flow or in a way that is not the right way.
Do you know, that's one of those things too that where some people are like, the only thing that goes with the flow is a dead fish. And I understand. I get it. I totally get it. But that's, again, where we're not making the choice to be conscious. It's not just always going with the flow. When it's time to make a choice, you're clear and you're ready and you know yourself. You know the direction you want to go. And it's an easier choice to make. The shift is easier. You know why you're doing it. You don't have to go through all that like logic and anxiety every single time when you're already aligned, like at your own core. Right. And that's not like to say I'm aligned and I know exactly, I know everything for myself. We develop, and we're all individual and it's different for all of us. So that's why we're here talking. We're going to talk about music, how we each utilize that. We've had so many experiences with this week, all these different ways that they can be utilized, or that we already have been without realizing that we're actually using this as a tool. And now we realize that, like, wow, how powerful that is to say, I'm going to choose to like kind of melt away for a minute out of my own mind into my body and let my body just tell me what to do with this now, with this energy. And then it actually releases from you. It's like the craziest shit, you guys. It actually releases from you and it creates a room for other things that you really want. I swear. It's weird. Like, it's weird because I didn't expect any of this. I'll be honest, like a year ago, I didn't see any of this coming. Like actual real development and healing and satisfaction. I didn't.
Yeah.
You can't plan it, So sorry guys. Kat, do you ever want to talk? If you ever want to talk, just jump right in and tell me to shut up, please. So the next part of the energy was just it was about rooting and grounding ourselves, which I found so interesting, centering ourselves in our own bodies. Capricorn is earth. Body is very closely connected to this. And then it also spoke of like reclaiming our energy, which I thought, look at even that, like the sound waves. And I have found that relaxing into my body, or just like the moment or whatever, in whatever way necessary, whether it's dancing or screaming, whatever is needed, it helps me to move through that and actually process it. Okay.
Well, did you have any more to your?
I have way more. I have more to go with this, but do you have anything before I like share?
Sure, I can go through mine. So when I pulled mine, I just felt the need to do it. And that was, I guess we can say that was a self-care thing that I needed for myself. I felt chaotic. I was all over the place. I didn't even know what I was pulling them for, but I was like, I'm going to pull one from each of these decks.
Hold on. Hold on. Can we just pause a second? I do want to let you talk. I swear to God. I swear. I want to let you talk. The cards, just for a second, on this channel, so every month we do these moon spreads, okay? For the new and full moons, and they are shifting and changing in the upcoming Zodiac New Year. We're doing like one a month, but it's going to be something that kind of develops and unfolds the energy for the entire month that you can keep coming back to and kind of like clarifying and fine tuning. But the reason that we're doing cards, that we even do this, is because that was such an intuitive experience for me. So playing off of Nikki's journal, I started to tap into each moon, because I wasn't even aware of what was going on in time either when I started to like connect with this. So she got me really focused on like the new moon, the full moon, the new moon. And so I started to find a pattern. My ritual started to develop, and it's the most consistent thing I've ever done for myself, ever. And it's always brought me a lot of clarity, and it's been real. The way they unfold is really wild. So when we feel called to pull cards, we pull, we pull cards. And Nikki, I kind of, when I'm close with people, I give them decks of cards that I feel called to, because I feel like we all need it in our hands. Like, you need to feel this. You need to experience it, or you need to pick it. You'll see it in the Oracle card for Humanity reading when you have your own, but you need to feel it to see your own intuition, and you need to see it unfold, how the energy aligns, because it's really powerful.
Definitely.
Oh, and come visit me. Come visit my website as well. I never ever talk about this. I never ever.
Yeah, you guys, if you didn't know, you can get a personal reading from Allyse. She never tells
you. A lot of decks, and you pick the ones that you want and how they come together. It's really
they're gorgeous. They're so.
It will make you feel really powerful, because you'll like choose exactly what you want, and you'll see like this message come together, and it's pretty crazy. Anyway, Nikki's turn.
Yes. Okay. So I pulled 4 cards. I just felt like I needed to pull them. Didn't know what I was pulling them for until after I pulled them, looked at them, and sat with the meaning. The first one was from the Crush Your Goals deck, which you've seen on here before. This is going to be in the spring box. And the gist of this one was baby steps. And it says baby steps through the office, baby steps out the door. It works. All I have to do is take one little step at a time, and I can do anything. I ended up, since this was the first one, I ended up attaching this to the word play, which was my word of the year. And if you have seen the word of the year post that I made on my website, you'll see each word that I've chosen breaks down to other words. So the P in play was for peace. So to me, it was coming to peace. Like, how do I get to the peace that I need? And then the answer was baby steps. The next one was L for love in play. And the card ended up being heal your heartbeat, which how crazy is that? And this is one of the
earth energy, right?
Yeah.
And like tapping into our bodies, for sure.
This is one of the decks that I got from Allyse. So yeah.
Obviously.
And then the next was A. So that to me was adapt. And I pulled the 2 of Wands, which is pretty crazy because that's like a choice. And to me, that was
2 of Wands too, is like an opening kind of even less even as a solid like fork in the road, but almost like a pathway opening up.
Yes. So
like,
to me, that was,
natural opening, like following your enthusiasm opens up a natural pathway. It's sort of like
when you take the steps to get there, and then it comes. And then that pathway is, here's my choice on how I'm going to adapt. And then the last one, this is the important one. This was, I make Y stand for you, so yourself. And the card was crack open. And if you look at the bottom, it's a rose. And I shared this with Allyse, and she was like, oh, Rose, that's my name.
I was like, that's for me, obviously. Because, crack open as well. This is a whole thing. We've been having this whole experience with the Cancer full moon. I'm like, crack open, like, crab, shell, crack, like, you know what I mean? Like, we're just going down these pathways and talking our nonsense. And I'm like, Rose, that's obviously for me. And then she showed me the page, and I was like, what? Because it was just like exactly the experience that I had been feeling out. So it's like the way that the messages come together, because we're not in the same space. How would you can call it whatever you want, but it is what it is.
That's actually really crazy to have you going through all of the cards right now, Nikki, because like I literally just did a discussion post about breaking down goals into like small steps, and it helps me like just keep my head down and focus on it instead of getting overwhelmed by the big picture.
Yeah.
Because when you just think about the big picture, it's like, it's huge, it's impossible. And going ahead and making it, just here's the next few steps. Just handle the next few steps. And then you can actually make progress. And then the other one about roses, middle name. Also, my other half, his last name is Ross, and Ross means rose in I forget which language it's coming from. So it's like,
and that's just resonance, right? And what does that mean? Like, that's
crazy.
your experience purely. Isn't it so fun? I just think it's really fun how they connect to different, all of us uniquely. That's why I think the decks are so important, to feel the cards and experience.
And it gives us something to connect to each other with. Like, it's a way to say, like, here, we're going to connect around this. Even if we don't have the same experience, we can share. Like I was saying before with Kat, if she didn't bring up the music thing, if she stayed silent on that.
Okay, so here's the segue though. So Kat didn't start, we didn't start the conversation that way, right?
Right.
What happened was so the next card that came out, these the decks that I'm showing you are the ones that I use for this Cancer full moon spread. That's why these particular decks are being used. So this is the next card that came out, and it says music and joy. So this is why we started this conversation about music, because I just have my headphones in all the time. I literally dance around my house. Like if you walk around your house or pace around, I'm like spinning and flailing around like a maniac all day long. Like this, it's just fun. I don't know. It helps me express my energy. And we even have a meditation about it, or, several actually. We have a belly dance meditation that's meant to connect with your heart space. And then another where it's just like an intuitive dance experience that, please don't judge me because I am not a dancer. It was like completely spontaneous, but it literally is titled How I Healed My, Mind, Body, and Heart with Dance, because it just helps you melt out of your mind. So we got on this topic, and then we got on this topic, and then Kat was like, do you remember what you said, Kat? Because I do. Kat said,
so I was in a weird place where, in order to like keep up with everything I was doing, I really had to be like really strict about like when I'm going to bed, and being creative minded. Like sometimes my brain's just going 90 miles per hour, and I needed a fast way to really like slow down, get ready for my brain to go to sleep. Like, so I set a routine of playing the same song every time I was getting ready to go to sleep. So it would give me, just enough time while the song was playing to wrap up whatever I was doing. So I had things semi-contained, because, when you have a creative workspace, nothing's ever really contained unless you have to like move the workspace to somewhere else. That's probably about the only time it's perfect. But yeah, so I would go ahead and play the same song, and it would be the perfect way to just wind down and be able to get some sleep, because I was really burning the candle at both ends at that point.
So basically she like created a ritual without, maybe the word that people would use isn't always ritual, but that's what
a lot of stuff we're going to talk about is not stuff that we're like consciously like, I am going to do this to create this. It's kind of like a feeling you have. Oh, this music calms me down. I like this one. It inspires this in me. And so, yeah, Kat was talking about really dialing back and taking her mind to a different place to rest by utilizing music. I mean, consciously, but also probably subconsciously, not really probably realizing how powerful that is as a tool for yourself.
And that's what we were planning. Our point is about using music as a tool.
In case you don't know what our point is and you lost it in the last 30 minutes, using it for focus, using it like we were talking about, how can we use different sounds? And then it really is just about sound. Like it's music, because we all have the experience of relating to music in some way, with like in terms of release. Like so cry, scream, dance, whatever it is, there's a lot of different experiences that it can inspire. And if we just let our bodies do that, like just put the song on, or the sound on that makes us feel whatever way, or that we want to feel maybe, or just like put a playlist on and let it take us wherever, let your body guide you, let your emotions do what they need to do. Let that wash away. It really does wash away. So like I was writing down, it said preparing my body, moving my energy, creating my environment, and allowing my experience. I started with creating my experience, and I was like, that's not what this is. It's an allowing of it to move through me, or me to move through the world, so that no matter what's coming in, I am anchored. Again, back to that grounding, the anchor in the storm. I am centered. I am anchored in me because I know who I am. So the very last bit of this, where we get, I think we're going to get more specific about music now, what we do, was the other side of my cards was I had the two of swords, which is like a fork in the road decision. Okay. And then I had the 9 of Wands. I'm going to explain these to you just like briefly. The 9 of Wands is kind of like a heaviness, woundedness. You know, they refer to it as the wounded warrior energy. So basically, due to the hustle, the perseverance, the grind, or what we're trying to keep up with, we're beating ourselves down and we're tired. But then on the other side of this fork in the road, there is this intuitive energy. Okay, I'm trying to make sure the right ones are in front. I can't see because they're opposite up here. There's this intuitive energy of, which is the high priestess. This is deep intuition, or like divine intuition almost, tapping into ourselves, and then this deeply emotional, nurturing energy. So the choice being to live one of those experiences. We're going to live it, right? We're alive. Things are coming at us. How do you want to feel as you move through the experience? And that's it. It only took us 30 minutes to explain, and you're welcome. Is there anything you guys want to say on that before we get like specific about the music part and how we use it?
Did you finish yours, Nikki? You did peace, love. What was the A?
Adapt. And then you, for like yourself, how you're feeling. And that card was crack open. So, you know, like crack yourself open and know yourself. Right?
Oh, and Nikki, yeah, because Nikki's word of the year is play. So like Nikki goes into things in a different way, right? This is what I love about our intuition, the way that we do our own rituals, and like just tapping into us, because we don't practice the same way. I do not. She tried to get me to journal. She's tried to get me to do things, but the consistency for me is like, let's get these cards moving. And something really funny about that, Cancer energy is this mothering energy. And it also is very aligned with the moon. We've had a lot of experiences talking about our grandmothers this week as well. And my grandma used to play cards with me as a kid all the time, like poker and stuff. Like, I mean, like I'm a child playing poker. But I'm like, I didn't realize that till later, my connection to like cards. And I felt like that was really, to me, correlates. That's an intuitive thing to me, like that she is guiding me, you know, with me. So it's just like, what is meaningful to you, lean into it, and fuck everybody else and what they think.
Funny because I don't think my grandmother had any serious thought. Like I think she probably got these like from one of her daughters that were in the house at some point, but she gave me a deck of tarot cards when I was 12. And that was my start with like playing around with cards and kind of getting an idea and comfortable with the imagery. So, and it's really interesting.
I like that you went with getting used to the imagery, because like you're an artist, so you put things into images, and I think that's interesting.
Yeah, I want you to pull a card. Come on, Kat, get in this.
I don't have that deck anymore. Actually, like I started collecting decks. I think I had 4 at one point. One of them was really, really pretty. Like the edges were gilded. It was always so like satisfying to hold because they were like super smooth, and I wouldn't get paper cuts with them, because that's the worst when you get a paper cut from a tarot card. But I have a deck right now, and it's an embarrassing deck in the sense that it's like from Five Below, the random like Christmas gift, because I didn't want to commit to like a deck right now because I didn't feel
I see
pulled
a
to
lot
one.
of people buying. I'm okay. Hold on. Here's my admission. I do not spend a lot of money on my decks. I have like 80 decks. You guys got to understand. I have a problem, and it's for your benefit that you can utilize any of those decks for your experience. But like, I think it's about intention. I'll be completely honest with you. Of course, I want to invest in artist work. Like, if I'm investing in someone's artwork, I'm gonna pay what it's worth,
Oh yeah,
but
same.
overall, like Hay House, I'm going for the cheapy thing. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna no, I'm not sorry, not gonna
well, in my case, I ultimately do want to design a deck. That is a goal, but I don't have a direction for it right now. And it's like, okay, well, that's okay. I'll get back to it.
Well,
we actually also so you never know where this cohesion of work might come together. Okay, so let's move into the next part of this. I wanted to say that this is kind of like unfolding, like the clarity of this is unfolding for us, and you like are seeing it kind of like in real time this time. If you do come on live at any point, we are doing our Oracle cards for humanity in the next, I don't know, like 20 minutes or so. That'll start. So get ready and let us know that you're here and that you want a reading. Sierra will let us know. Sierra will let us know when the time comes. Sierra, say hi to Sierra because she's the one who does all the hard work by moderating the comments when they're rolling in. So I wanted to say, like, as a self-care centric space or partnership, that we are practicing our work differently than when we started. Of course, Sierra, Kat is first, and then Sierra is second, always. Our team always comes first. Our guest is always first when it comes to the Oracle reading, because Sierra was commenting. Maybe you guys can't see that. She was saying she wanted one, and I'm like, our guest always comes first, and then our team always, and then we always give ourselves a reading because we're selfish. Just kidding. But how we're practicing our work differently, because Nikki's always been into this subject matter her whole life. I was not until I actually started a really serious healing journey. I did not get into any of this ever until a couple of years ago. So it's never like too late. It's never like you don't have to be stuck in like an old way of doing things. Move into the stuff that is working for you. And if something doesn't work, maybe lean in a different direction. You don't have to like make these bold decisions and stop this and quit everything to try something else.
Yeah, and be comfortable with playing with different ideas. Play, like try something and be okay to say, well, that didn't work. That wasn't for me. Like,
yeah, no, and like that's the whole thing. Like, just lean into it and let your intuition kind of guide you. Because like Kat's doing that right now, and like big time. She's got a career and work, but she's also got like this really important hobby and talent and skill that she is creating time for. And space for more and more, and what does that self-care? So I enjoy that.
I like that.
We got to be a little bit selfish, and it's, you know what, take this stigma kind of off of doing things for ourselves. We do not always have to be out pleasing everybody else when we need to tap in. We serve everybody else better when we are in a good mood, when we're happy. We know as parents, come on, like we project that all over our children. We cause them damage. Look, the generational cycles, let's not get too far into this, but it does everybody good for you to take the time and space for yourself to get to know you, what you want, what satisfies you. Right. It's going to improve every area of your life. So don't be afraid of missing. This is the one part. Don't be afraid of missing out on something. Like if you step back from the grind and the hustle, that people are going to get ahead of you, or you're going to, there's some sort of like hamster wheel that you're going to have to get off of. And then you have to get comfortable being off of it. And then you can kind of softly move in a new direction it's like a relief almost though, once you step off, and then a soft transition maybe into something different. It just feels different. The work feels different. You enjoy the climb up the mountain, Okay, so let's segue. Perfect. Because that's what we're talking about, enjoying it along the way. So either the work gets fun, or you just don't notice how, the struggle. It's just a different experience. You put your headphones in and you go and clean your house. It's a different experience than when you're like, oh, I had to clean my house. Sorry, I'm making a
big one for me, as far as like helping to create that space, the value of not being nice and how we work with that. So it was actually meant for like business, but I find it applies everywhere. So instead of being like quote unquote nice and trying to be polite, like you're not getting what you want. Whoever's giving you what you don't want, they don't know that. It's like saying like, oh yeah, I love this like ugly sweater that you got for Christmas. Like if you don't tell this person that, you might be getting ugly sweaters for the rest of your life.
Right.
So
yeah,
like, don't just swallow that. Like find a way to approach them and be like, hey, I know you mean well. I absolutely appreciate the thought, but like, work on being direct about
and like, what's the balance between like, I appreciate you and your effort, and then, but here's me, and I want you to know me so we can reciprocate together in a way that feels good for us both.
Exactly.
You're not like receiving a gift that you're like, because this is what allowing is, receiving, letting things flow and come and go, and then, but like we talked about, sometimes we have to make choices. Sometimes we do things and take steps. What are they? Are we clear about them? Why do we do them? And when we're not clear with ourselves, we get defensive, and we might speak to people in ways they don't deserve when they're doing their best. And, how do we communicate in the way that makes us feel good, makes them feel good? We get to know each other. There's a softness to that type of boundary and that type of knowing yourself.
Even when it's hard to do.
Like, oh yeah. Oh, I mean, yeah. If someone's meaningful to you, don't you have real conversations with them? The more me and Nikki have been talking about this, because I don't want to say we've been butting heads, but like we're developing kind of like a more sisterly type relationship where we're just like, we have emotions, we have moods, we're understanding. We're always like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm just like, we get like this. We overreact. There's a lot of energy flying around, and like, we understand it's not a unhealthy projection or toxic, like taking advantage of each other. We are able to receive each other in that sort of way. Isn't that what we want in our relationship?
Yeah, I was just going to say allow. You were saying allow before. We allow each other to experience ourselves and be able to practice working through those things with each other, where it's like, I don't want to say comfortable, because there are times where it's like, oh, I don't want to hurt her feelings. I don't want to do this.
Oh, yeah, definitely. She's like, why is she so mad? We're both like, why is she so bad at me today? Like, what's her problem? I mean, it's definitely like, I know that sometimes I'm like, it's your fault, not mine. But usually it's something that's triggering in me. Something that you were saying bothered me because I didn't quite understand it, or I wasn't in the mood, or it wasn't listening. But
it's so amazing to be able to form that friendship, which we want to do with everyone in this space, to say like, I allow you to have those things because you are human, like.
And don't you want, like, isn't that what we want for all of our relationships, just overall? Like, you might not have that relationship with us, but do you have relationships like that where you can be real, like who you really are, let the walls down, and get to know people deeply, like as their true selves, nurture them, and communicate with them in a way where you're not taking the wind out of their sails.
Yeah.
That's a big one, because our own beliefs we project on other people. So if we have fears and doubts, perfect for dissolving our fears. If we have fears and doubts, we automatically put these on the people that we care about, because we worry. It's not even meant to hurt people. It's meant because we care and we love them. We're trying to care for them. So if we are afraid, where does that go? It goes into everything we create. The legacy that we leave, the foundation that we create is created with fear, not our real true intentions, the things that we really want. And that's the really subtle difference between like the manifestation of what we're experiencing right now, if we don't like it, Nikki is a big part of what we have talked about, because her journaling has a lot, her journaling has a lot to do with 6-month cycles, which is really interesting. We started working together a year ago. We've been doing this stream for 6 months. And so it's these 6-month cycles that unfold of manifestation, where we're not just right here, right now. We're in the present, we're appreciating, but we look back at what we were thinking about, what we were focusing on 6 months ago, where our intentions were, and then we see it very clearly right now. Like, if we can continue to do that, and like I go back into my readings on this channel, and I can see 6 months ago, holy shit, look at what was unfolding then. Let's see what's happening now. And it just taps into this energy in the coolest way. And that's what, how this all happens. One quick thing, you guys, this 2022, okay, obviously it's 2022. I want to say something. You guys are gonna think this is fucking random as hell, but we all know that Betty White has just passed, and her birthday is tomorrow, and it's January 17th. And this year, this might really sound silly to you guys, but we want to honor that like energy, the energy that Betty brought to life. Like, just you can't think about her without a smile on your face. She always was like making a joke, and she always had this beautiful philosophy. There's actually a documentary about her on Hulu, I think, where she talks about what her parents instilled in her about just bringing happiness out in others and focusing on the lighter side of life, and laughter, which is what we do a lot, or what I do anyway. You guys are welcome. So I just want to bring that up. Like, this is a year that we're bringing like that energy into the world. It's our time to lead. She has left, but we're not going to leave her legacy behind. So go donate to a local animal shelter, please, in Betty's honor, because this year is for her. And now, we're specifically going to spend the next few minutes talking about how we utilize music as a tool. And then we're going to go into our card messages. So I just want to start with saying, like, so for me, I will get stuck on one song for like a week, maybe an hour, maybe a day, a week. And it hits me at different levels, and it opens me up to like this stream of consciousness that I wasn't aware of. So sometimes it's the tempo, the lyrics, the rhythm. Sometimes I'm moving, crying, dancing, like screaming. It could be one song that pulls all this out in me as I listen to it. You might not be that kind of person, but I put my headphones in, and I swear it like just goes straight into my brain, and it sort of blocks out this external, or it takes the volume down to where I can be out here experiencing it with my eyes wide open, but I don't have the like, what is it, like the rattling noise in my ears of everything that's going on. And I can experience what's going on out here from a place where I'm centered in a sacred space anywhere I go. Does that make sense?
Yeah, almost going back to the logic thing. Like, if you have your headphones in, your brain is not necessarily going, oh, I need to figure this out. I see this happening right now. I need to know what's next. What am I doing? Having the music take you to another place while you're still in there, to be able to accept what's happening for what it is, without trying to project your own reasoning on it,
making logic out of intuition. Or like when we're in our heads, like think of anxiety and what anxiety does to us. It's really like a loop, our brain's just going. Put headphones in or turn music on, go out and sit under I have a wind chime tree, you guys, that I somehow manifested over the last couple of years, that it's just a beautiful experience to go and sit
awesome.
in the wind. I mean, and we don't even think about it. Like these tools that are being utilized, how often we're doing that, dancing, singing, crying to a song, how it can shift us. We want to be conscious about it, but make that small choice to let the anxiety sort of melt. Like, it's the logic. We're trying to make sense of everything. You guys, I'm certain, as you guys both have some strong Capricorn energy. and you are, I'm certain, are used to like what the overthinking is.
Yeah, that it's my life. And actually, I'm glad that you went in the route of like anxiety, because my perfect example of using music as a tool, actually, I did last night as one way that I do it. I mean, music is a huge part of my life. It's a lot of what caused me to develop into the person that I am. But I was having like really bad anxiety last night, to the point where I was like shaking and I felt cold and I just couldn't calm my heartbeat. And that's an experience I used to have often and I don't anymore. But as we know, like you think you've healed certain things and there's a chance it's going to come up again. But you might know how to shift through it quicker once you've experienced it and aligned with yourself. So I noticed, I felt my body doing it. I was like, this isn't healthy. This isn't how I want to be. What can I do to slow my heartbeat down, get out of my head, stop trying to figure out what's going to happen in the future? Like I have no control over these things. So I intentionally went and I just found a YouTube channel that had binaural beats, and it was specifically for releasing negative energy. So I put my headphones on and I just laid. I let myself feel, my heart racing and the shaking, but I let the music go through me so that it could help calm me, and I was able to fall asleep. And that's one way I use it. And like we were saying, it's just sound, not necessarily always what you think of music. Another way that I use the tool is when I get migraines, I also use binaural beats that are specific to helping with head pain.
My doctor, and we talked about this, I went in for ADHD like evaluations. I'd never been diagnosed or anything like that. And my doctor, that was one of the first things he was like, I want you to try, because it actually rewires your brain. Because a lot of the stuff that we're talking about here, I know we're talking about it in like a different way, but go look it up. Like this is the real, the way that our thoughts and our anxieties translate into disease, sickness, stress. Like stress makes sickness. You don't have to believe me. I bet you've experienced it. I bet you've literally experienced your health decline just because of stress. I don't have to convince you of that. And I don't have to convince you that music can literally just take you out of the conscious, trying to make sense of things and help you just melt into your body in a different way. But then also there's proof of it out there that literally this is how it works. This is how our bodies and brains work. And we came to this intuitively. I didn't go out like, oh, let me prove it. I'm not going to prove it to any of you. You guys got to try it. If you don't feel good, if you feel miserable, try something new. I mean, what you got to lose? Just try something different. Be silly, be frivolous, play with us. Come play with us.
I find that working in a slightly different way. So like, when you get into like a new topic and start researching and learning about it, you realize, okay, well, there's a phase where it's like you knew nothing about it. And then once you learn a certain amount, it's like, I still know nothing about it, but I'm just informed about what the words are. Like you realize how deep a subject really is once you've gotten into it a little bit.
When I get into a little bit though, I start to use the labels, like in a really weird way. Do you ever experience that? When I first start to learn about something, I'm like, oh, that's me. I'm this, this, and this. And then I'm like, wait a minute. Like I'm focusing on the struggle of like ADHD, because I really got into that. I'm focusing on how this, I struggle with this and I struggle with this. And then when I got to the doctor, I'm like, I want to stop feeling like I have a short circuit from my body to my brain. That's how it felt. The rest of it was like symptoms, it was other parts of it, but the core of it for me was this, and this is the feeling I want to resolve to start, because I wasn't sold on meds or, any of that. So that's not the conversation, but intuitive, again, feeling into it. And I think that it's really cool to nurture what you find intuitive. Each of us individually, like you want to research, right? Like you need certain concrete evidence to see things like that. My experience is different, but you should have yours the way that yours is. And we shouldn't have to convince each other. We just all come together and we're like, oh my gosh, look how the pieces fit.
Right.
All bring the energy together. Isn't that fucking cool? Like that's the best part of this. You guys know that I never shut up again.
Oh,
Here.
but my point was that we get worried about like not knowing, and that's such a huge part of the human experience. Is like you will never know everything. Like when you finally realize you will never know everything, just okay, well, I'm gonna know what I want to know.
Or you'll never agree with another human on everything. Like you'll never you'll never see it the same exact way, no matter how much you align and enjoy each other and stuff. You're always gonna have a different perspective. Like, so the labels, they can be helpful. They can help us find what we're looking for, but like, don't, you know, get stuck on the label. You're not this thing, this thing, this thing. You are this immersive, you know, person. That's getting back to the natal chart. Get into your natal chart, because it'll freak you. I mean, I don't want to say freak you out. I'm not trying to say that, but it's wild. Getting in your natal chart really helps you like kind of unlock yourself and tap in. Okay, so a few of the other ways that I want to mention really quick that I almost realize I use music. It's not like, hi, I'm going to go and use music this way. Different things that I realized, like, wow, I'm already doing this. This week, I had this opportunity, what seemed random to me because I never babysit, like, ever anymore. And I had a baby, like, that I was physically, like, babysitting all week, holding. And what I realized was, I was like humming to the baby and singing to him. I don't do that a lot. I don't sing a lot because I don't have a voice that I would be like, oh, I love to. You know, I'm going to show off and sing in public. So I sing in my car. I sing in my shower. My kids don't care. They ignore me, you know, or they laugh at me. But I was I was holding this baby, and even above and beyond sound, the vibration of like he and I were sharing. He would go from, you know, being tired and kind of grumpy or sad or whatever was going on, and he would just kind of melt into it with me. And like, that's our power. We have so much power just in this like simplicity of the experience. Like, I find that pretty incredible, honestly. So how about you? Anything else like you want to like, what are some other ways, like, because I have binaural beats on my, because I feel like we're getting there, but tell me about some specific ways that music like brings you to a different place. I wanted to share this, Sierra sharing about the baby. It just is I haven't done that in a long time, like sang to a baby. I haven't had the opportunity to do that in a while. My kids are older. We snuggle, we hug, we, you know, do stuff like that. But it's more of a playful energy. It's different when you're just like, we do not get enough hugs in this day and age. I'm just gonna go, we're not gonna get too much into that right now, but man, we need more hugs. It's good for us. So a few other things that I do. Like, so I have my wind chime tree that I realized that, wow, like that's such an experience for me. I think it's interesting because like even screaming or like, you know, I love rage rock kind of music, and I mean to meditate with. That's like, it clears out of me, and I will just like punch the shit out of a pillow or something, a couch cushion, or scream in my car. Like, we need lots of different stuff. Shake, jump, dance, move. Like trauma, or like, you know, anxiety, this stuff is locked in our tissues. And that's what we have to like, that's what the science is, you know, we go into this healing and stuff. It's locked in us. So whatever your body needs, stillness, movement, do it. You know, what do you need right now? Do you need a hot cocoa? Do you need a shower meditation? Do you need to go journal? Like, do what is required for your energy right now. And that's the ritual. And that's why we're here. That's it for me. Oh, I want to know, what is your all-time favorite song? Because I really want to ask you really quick. I was kind of resonating with mine, the lyrics, because we haven't really talked about lyrics. The lyrics.
Yeah, that was actually going to be one of my things that I was going to say.
Okay, guys, this is the last thing we're going to talk about before we do our oracle card messages. I'm going to start to shuffle. We are very thankful for you being here, both of you. We are extremely grateful. Talk about lyrics as we start to shuffle. Does that sound good?
Yes.
So actually, this one's pretty new for me. It's a song by V&V Nation called Fearless. The live version, I really like how they open the song, but I don't generally like live versions over studio recordings. So I do appreciate them both, but there'll be differences in mood whether I listen to the live version or the regular one. Let's see. There we go. Contagion Cat 13. This is a remnant from a previous life where I don't quite vibe with it the same way. It was the small business I had when I was back in like Western New York, and that relationship is over. So I've been kind of just sitting around with that for a while now. And
can I ask you a question really quick?
Sure.
Do you by chance have the painting thing that you did of me by around nearby you? Because okay, so one day I was just like, Nikki all of a sudden's like, you have fan art, and I was like, what? And Kat, like, I had done this whole thing. I was like, oh my god, this is the sweetest thing on the whole earth.
It was entirely by random because I got a new palette for Christmas, and it's a cheap palette, just to be honest, flat out honest. And it's a palette where I've been looking at these colors for a couple years. I really love how they're put together. I was thinking like, I don't like trying to do swatches from like on screen because you'd never quite get the right color. So I was like, I'm just going to get this palette. I'm going to find colors that are similar to it with my own stuff. So eventually I will have like a permanent version of this palette where it's not going to just fade within a few years. But the first thing I was doing, I'm like, there are so many yellows in this palette, and it's not a color I normally paint with. And I happen to be on YouTube scrolling down, and I see YouTube suggests like, hey, look, there's Allyse. She's wearing a yellow shirt. She's got blonde hair. Like, this is perfect. So I start going ahead and mixing up these paints to go ahead and get a feel for like what the range can do together. And if I wanted to change stuff about the palette, because I'm weird about a palette needs to be able to like do certain things for me. Otherwise, I need to change stuff around. So that is the start of little Allyse, who just sits at my desk with me. Because I mean, it's an entirely like mini little thing. I was just like, I want to try these paints. Well, hold on, I'm going to turn my flashlight on my phone so I have a little bit more color.
I was like, and then I like had to beg Kat. I'm like, please send it to me. You don't want it, do you?
No, that's totally washing it out. Maybe there.
There you go.
But yeah, it's little Allyse, and she's got gold in her hair.
Like the most flattering thing on the earth. Like I woke up to it, like the sweetest thing ever. I just thought that was so sweet. All right, I'm super excited. Okay, Kat, your card, I was shuffling and then I set my deck down and then like a card like flew across the room. So yours is just hanging out. I have not looked at it yet. So I'm waiting for Nikki. So we're going to start our Oracle Cards for Humanity messages.
Definitely looking forward to seeing those when you're done.
Thank you guys so much for being here. We're so grateful. I'm not like a musician. This is like hey, how do we develop? How does this help us? And how can we consciously use these tools?
Yes.
We would love to know how you use music and how it moves you, I guess. What ways are you already utilizing that? And in what ways can you consciously take that and make that a tool in your life?